The jury, I hope you had a wonderful extended weekend. Before we begin with the opening statements, I want to remind you of some of the instructions I gave you Thursday afternoon, the high points. Something first, most importantly, that I've repeated multiple times, the most important element of a fair trial is that the jury base its decision only on the evidence presented officially in the trial. Therefore, as you know, don't talk to anyone about the case, including your fellow jurors. Don't do any research about the case by any form whatsoever, electronic or otherwise, and avoid all media coverage of the case. Remember also a rule that I told you about, which is as the trial progresses, don't form any definite or fixed opinion about the merits of the case until you've heard all of the evidence, the arguments by the lawyers, and the instructions on the law from me. With regard to note-taking, you've been provided with a pen and pad to take notes should you wish. You're not required to take notes. Please remember, during the breaks, when I send you back into the jury room, leave your notepad on your chair, and it will be there for you when you come back into the room, into the courtroom, and that also follows for the every day of court session. Of course, during deliberations, you'll be entitled to take your notes back with you to assist you during deliberations. We're about to begin with the opening statement. If you recall, on Thursday, I advised you of the importance of the opening statement. If you recall what I told you, what the lawyers say to you at this time is not evidence. This is not part of the evidentiary portion of the trial, but it is very important. The way I like to explain it to you is, if you could imagine, if we didn't do opening statements, we would just start with the state calling witnesses, and you would have no idea what this case is about. We have an adversarial system. Each side opposes the other, and there are things on both sides that they think are important. So it gives them an opportunity to prepare you for the evidentiary portion of the trial. It gives them an opportunity to tell you what evidence they think will be presented once we start hearing the evidence. And that's a huge advantage. Rather than you going into the trial cold with no idea what the case is about, now you will be able to have advance notice of what they believe you should be paying close attention to, and that will give you a tremendous advantage in all regards, but in particular at the end of the case when you hear their arguments reflecting on what the evidence was. With that, though, remember what they say is not evidence in that regard. And we start off with the state has the burden of proof, and they may begin with their opening statement. Mr. Cormier.
I have to do it, Eric. I have no other choice. I'm going to lose everything. If my wife finds out something like that, oh my God, bro, I'm going to lose everything. Bro, I have a spot. I have a spot. I have to find a spot where I'm going to dump her. I'll throw away all the clothes, or I'll burn them, or I'll wash them with Clorox. Those are the words from the defendant in this case on August 21st, 2018. The evidence will show you that Jose Soto-Escalera, the defendant in this case, he had a problem. He had a big problem, and he needed to find a way to get rid of it. He had no other choice in his eyes. And that problem that he had was the victim in this case, Tania Wise. On August 21st, Tania Wise was a mom. She was 38 weeks pregnant, and she had no idea that this defendant was carefully planning out her murder. You're gonna learn that the defendant in this case, he worked for Waste Pro. He was a garbage truck driver, and he worked with his nephew on the garbage truck. And the reason we're gonna know and hear how he planned out this murder is because he did it on the garbage truck while they're driving around, picking up trash, doing his route. But what the defendant didn't plan on is that it's all recorded. There's video, there's audio, and even though they talked in Spanish, everything is going to be translated in this case, and you're going to hear the defendant as he drives around on his trash route trying to figure out where he's going to get rid of her body, where he's going to leave 38-week pregnant Tania Wise for dead, how he's going to kill her. Let's go 2 days later. That was August 21st, 2018. Let's go to August 23rd. That's the date of the murder in this case. And it's a normal day for Jose. He's driving in his garbage truck, and he's planning out a murder. He could not let his wife know that he got another woman pregnant who's now 38 weeks. He's running out of time. She's getting ready to schedule a C-section. She's going to have this baby, and he cannot let that find out because he's going to lose everything. That's all he cares about. What's going to happen to him? Not that he's going to kill a 38-week-year-old pregnant mother. That doesn't concern him at all. And he's talking casually in this car to his nephew. You think I should choke her? Or would it be better if I just do a big blow and it's all over with really quick? And then he tells him, you know what? She's not the type of person that anyone's even gonna look for. They're not even gonna look for her. They're not gonna worry about her. And you know what? If they don't find anything within the first 48 hours, they're never gonna find anything. Well, despite the defendant's planning and discussion over and over again of where he's going to do it, which way he should do it, how he's going to commit this murder, he made some mistakes. And on August 23rd, you're going to hear from the victim in this case, Tania Wise, you're going to hear from her mother, Elizabeth Bedolla. She is helping Tania put her son to bed that night, and then Tania leaves the house. The last time she sees her daughter alive is sometime after 8 o'clock on August 23rd, 2018. She doesn't know exactly where her daughter's going. She thinks she's just going out for a little bit. Tania didn't have a car. She didn't have a way to go anywhere, and you'll learn through the recordings that the defendant, part of his plan was to lure her out, to get her out of the house, and then to take her somewhere to murder her. So that's August 23rd, that's the night of the murder. And you're gonna learn the defendant, he goes, he picks her up, and then he takes her out to complete his plan. So fast forward to the next morning. It's August 24th, 2018, Tania Wise has been murdered. Christine Gabin is driving in St. Lucie County. The site of this murder is it's on a road called Russo Road. It's just north of Indrio. It's a little bit west of town. There's an intersection between Russo Road and Johnston Road. And it just so happens that this route is along the defendant's trash route. It's a spot that he passes, that he drives on his garbage truck route. But Christine Gabin, she's driving down that road that day, and on the side of Russo Road, she sees what she thinks is trash in a ditch, in a swale on the side of the road. But when she looks closer, she realizes it's not trash. It's Tania Wise. So immediately she sees a body on the side of the road and she calls 911. St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office is going to respond out to the scene. One of the first officers, Deputy Gilkey, he gets there and he takes some photos of Tania as she is found the way that she is initially. You're going to hear that crime scene investigators, there's 3 different crime scene investigators that worked on this case, Donna Carmichael, Kayla Lim, and Janine Vasquez at the time, now Janine Hiller. They go out to the scene because now there's a dead body and they need to figure out what happened. So they go and they look at the body. Tania Wise is face down in the swale on the side of the road. There's still some water. She's wet, she's damp. They see some hair, loose hair around the area where her body's found, and she's completely face down. They turn her over. They can see that she has some injuries to both her head and to her neck, and that there is what appears to be vomit within the swale of where her face was laying down. They collect all the evidence at the scene. They document all the evidence at the scene. They take photographs, and Tania Wise is brought to the medical examiner's office to have an autopsy performed. So now we're on August 24th. She's been found. She's brought to the medical examiner's office, and the defendant is there, riding in his garbage truck again, as if nothing happened. And he's talking to his nephew again about what happened. And he's telling him, he says, yeah, even though I had gloves on, I washed my hands with that brake cleaner. His nephew asked him, did you see, was there any blood? And he said, yeah, there's blood. It was all over the clothes, but I got rid of it. They're not gonna find any evidence. And once again, he's talking in this truck. He doesn't know that she's been found at this point yet, but he's saying, no one's even gonna look for her. She's the kind of person that runs away for a few days. I'm fine. He thinks he's in the clear. No one's gonna find her. So that's August 24th. And what's gonna happen is now law enforcement's going to start to work the case. They are going to figure out who knew her, how did they know her, when's the last time people saw Tania Wise, because they need to start gathering evidence. They need to figure out who she was with, who she saw, what could have happened to her. And they start to bring in people for interviews the next day on the 25th. And what also happens the next day on the 25th is her autopsy. And what you're gonna learn what happened to Tania Wise is that she suffered 2 major injuries that could have caused her death. She was struck, and you're gonna hear from Linda O'Neill, the medical examiner at the time, she was struck on the top of her head. And she suffered skull fractures, she suffered hematoma, edema, and that the cracks in her skull came all the way up to her orbital bones. Linda O'Neill will tell you that that was a significant blow that she took and that it couldn't have been done with a fist. That it had to be done with some type of extremely hard object. The other injury that you're gonna hear that Tania Wise sustained was a 19-centimeter cut across her neck. It comes from the front to the back, consistent with someone possibly standing behind her, and there's multiple cuts. There's 2 separate cuts. And the cuts were so deep, it went through her jugular vein and almost to her spinal cord. And you're gonna see photographs of that. And the reason those cuts are so deep, and she's hitting the head so hard, is because this defendant had to make sure she was gone. He planned it out, and he was worried that he was gonna get found out. He thought he was gonna lose everything. And his solution was to kill Tania Wise and Josiah Wise, which was gonna be the 38-week-old baby that she had that was getting ready to be born within the next couple of weeks. You're gonna hear that the Sheriff's Office continued to work on this case. They gathered evidence, and they eventually talked to the defendant in this case. He goes into the Sheriff's Office on August 25th, 2018 for an interview. And when he comes in, he drives in a silverish gray Dodge truck. Now, what you're going to learn about this truck is that same day of the finding of the body or the same day of the murder on August 23rd, there's another individual by the name of William Mullen. William Mullen owned a pizza shop at the time, and he was driving on Russo Road in that area at about 11:30 at night. And he sees something that's odd to him. As he's driving down the road, he sees a silverish truck, meets the description of the defendant's truck. It has the fog lights on, and it's just sitting on the side of the road. He says he sees the truck, he pulls up, it turns its lights off, it turns its lights on, and then it drives off. And he thought that was kind of weird. So the next day, when he sees law enforcement there, he goes and calls 911 and says, hey, I saw this truck out right there where that body was found last night. And just so happens that the day that this defendant comes in to give an interview, he's driving a truck that matches that description, consistent with the truck that's seen right at the murder scene. Another piece of evidence that the sheriff's office says, you know what, starting to look like it's Jose Soto-Escalera. So he gives consent to search his car. Law enforcement, they swab his car that particular day, and then they talk to him. And when they talk to the defendant, you're going to hear his interview, you're going to listen to his words, and you can watch him. He comes in as if, despite what he just did, despite after cutting her throat twice and bashing in her head, he's surprised. He's sad. I can't believe this happened. I feel bad for her family. I hope you find who did this. I don't know anything about it. He minimizes his relationship with Tania Wise. He's like, yeah, I know her. We're not friends. She comes over. Her son plays with my son. They start to ask more questions. She was pregnant. Is there any reason that we're going to find out this is your child? Are we going to learn that this baby is yours? Nope. Not my child. That's not possible. I've never had sex with Tania Wise. That's not me. So obviously, law enforcement, there's a medical examiner, they're going to do a paternity test of this baby that Tania had. And they're going to look into that. But what they're also going to look at is they're going to start to look at phone records. They're going to look at calls. They're going to do search warrants. And that's exactly what is done in this case. After the 25th, they do a search warrant subsequent on the defendant's vehicle again on September 24th of 2018. And at that time, they use something, and it's called Blue Star, and it's a chemical that they spray inside of his truck. And if there's blood inside, it lights up blue in the dark. So they spray that, and sure enough, they look inside of his truck, and there's parts that are glowing. Evidence that there was blood in his truck. So what do? They cut out the carpet where they see some of that blood, they swab that, and they send that off also for DNA testing. So what you're going to hear about the DNA evidence in this case is that they took a lot of swabs and they tested a lot of stuff. But there's a couple things that are extremely important. And one of those is that they checked multiple people to see who could be the father of that child, and 99.99%, it's the defendant. So not only did he kill Tania Wise, he killed his own son that she was 38 weeks pregnant with because he didn't want his wife to find out that he had been with someone else. He cut her throat and bashed her head in, knowing that possibly it was his child, but he did it anyways. Because he had planned it out, and he said, I have to do it, Eric. I have no other choice. You're going to hear some additional evidence that even though that evening he's going to tell law enforcement what he did and where he went, and the cell phone evidence that's going to introduce in this case, the cell phone tower evidence, it's going to show that's not correct. That's not where he was. The evidence is going to put him out at the scene of the crime. It's going to put him near that area where this crime occurred out on Russo Road. So throughout the trial, listen to the evidence, use your common sense. But when you go back and you listen and you watch and you hear what is said on these recordings, and you consider what the facts are, that the fact that this was his child, and that he lied about it, and that he hid it, and that he then planned this murder for multiple days, and then he carried it out, at the end of this trial, you're going to find the defendant guilty of both first-degree murder of Tania Wise and first-degree murder of an unborn child, because that's what the evidence is going to show. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cormier. Does the defense wish to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, sir.
Please do. Thank you.
Unfortunately, the profession that Ms. Wise was in, a dancer and an escort, brought her into contact with many unsavory characters. And what you will learn in the days following the discovery of her body, law enforcement got DNA samples from many men, not just my client. They got a DNA sample from a gentleman by the name of Mark Burke, who she was involved with and was her longtime paramour and pimp. They got DNA from a person named Bradley Rodriguez Jr., who was also her longtime boyfriend, who had been kicked out of her mom's house because he was violent with Tania in front of her mother. They got DNA from a gentleman named Eric Alvarado, who is my client's nephew. And they got DNA from a person by the name of Giovanni Alvarado, who dropped Tania off on the night that she was murdered. You will also learn that Miss Wise had told Bradley Rodriguez Jr. that he was the father of her son. And you will learn that she also told Mark Burke that he was the father of her son. It was in this fraught situation that her untimely demise occurred. And the judge is going to tell you, when we talked about it during jury selection, that reasonable doubt can come from the evidence, lack of evidence, and conflicts in the evidence. I'd ask that you use a discerning ear and eye during the course of this trial and listen to not only the evidence that you see and hear, but the evidence that you won't see and that you won't hear. And I have no doubt that at the close of the evidence, you'll have no other alternative but to find my client not guilty of both charges. Thank you.
Thank you, attorneys. We now begin with the evidentiary portion of the trial, and the state may call its first witness.
Yes, so people say Florida called Christine David.
Do you swear or affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Give that over this way for the witness.
And you may inquire of the witness.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Morning.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Christine Gavin, G-A-V-A-N.
Okay, Ms. Gavin, have you lived here in Fort Pierce all your life?
Since I was 7 years old.
Okay. And let me take you back to August 24th of 2018. Do you remember what you were doing that day?
I left my house in Spanish Lakes Fairways, went to Johnston Road, and was going to take a shortcut to my granddaughter's and went down Russo Road.
Okay. And you go down, and where did your granddaughter live?
She lives over all the other side of Emil Avenue.
Okay. And you left your home and you were going to your granddaughter's house?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you took a shortcut and you got on Russo's Road? Mm-hmm. Okay. And describe in as much detail as possible what happened and what you saw on August 24th of 2018.
Started down Russo, and I was looking out my windows, and there was like somebody had thrown bags of trash out the window, and so I got to the end of the road where Rusacas crosses, and I stopped, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I saw, and I stopped and got my bearings again, and I thought, I think that was something more than just a bag laying there. So I turned around and I went back and saw that it was a body laying there, so I stopped and called 911.
Okay. And do you remember what time you called 911?
About 10:50.
Okay. And how do you remember that time?
I was very shocked, very upset, so I just sat there and waited for him to arrive.
Okay. And when you called 911, did you take a look at the timestamp on your phone?
Yes, I think it was like 10:54, something like that.
Okay. And the police officers arrived? Mm-hmm. Okay. Without telling us what you said, because that would be inadmissible hearsay, but did you tell the police officer what you saw?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Gaiman, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
No cross-examination.
May this witness be released from her subpoena?
She may.
Any objection?
No objection.
Thank you, Ms. Gavin. You're released from your subpoena. That means you're free to stay or leave as you wish. You may step down to the witness stand. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. People say to Florida called Deputy Josh Gilkey.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Deputy Joshua Gilkey, Gilkey.
Okay. And it's obvious based on your dress. What will you do for a living?
Road Patrol Deputy in St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Go ahead and give the jury a thumbnail sketch of your education, your training, and your experience, please.
I have an associate's degree in criminal justice. I've attended the basic academy for law enforcement. I'm a traffic homicide investigator, and I've worked for St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office for about 8 years now.
Okay. And were you working back on August 24th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In what capacity were you working? What was your assignment?
Road Patrol Deputy.
Okay. And go ahead and just give the jury a brief summary of what a road patrol deputy does on a day-to-day basis.
Road Patrol Deputy typically responds to calls for service. So you call 911, and if it's within that area that I'm working, I will respond to that call. I also do routine traffic stops as well.
Okay. And on August 24th of 2018, were you on duty?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And describe for the jury how you were dressed.
We had a different uniform back then. It was like the other deputies in this room, polyester uniform. So I was dressed in that uniform.
Okay. And were you in a marked unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you receive a call or to respond to the area of Russo's Road and Johnston Road in St. Lucie County?
I heard my zone partner, he got dispatched to the call. I just happened to be a little bit closer, so I arrived on scene first.
Okay. About how far, just give the jury an idea, about how far away is that area from Indira Road?
So it's approximately about a mile and a half.
Okay. And so you get dispatched and walk the jury in as much detail as possible what you see. You are the eyes of this jury, so walk them through what you see.
So whenever I first arrived on scene, I saw the caller in a black car. Made contact with her. I believe her name was Christine Gavin. And she informed me that she had saw what could possibly be a deceased body down the road approximately 50 feet away from us to the east on the south side of the roadway.
Okay. And did you approach that body?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury what you saw.
I saw what appeared to be a female body, and she appeared to be deceased at that time.
Okay. And what did you do in response?
I immediately determined that this was going to be an active crime scene due to there being a deceased female on the side of the roadway. Rescue was there with me as well. Nobody went up and touched the body or anything like that.
Did you touch the body?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits 116 and 117 for identification purposes. Take a look at those and tell me if you recognize those.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are those photos? What do they depict?
Those are photos of the deceased female laying face down.
Okay. And are those photos of the deceased female as they appeared on August 24th of 2018?
Yes.
Okay. And what time did you arrive on scene?
I believe it was approximately 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Okay. And are these photos fair and accurate representations of how the deceased female looked on August 24th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence Exhibits 116 and 117.
Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
These two items will come into evidence without objection at this time. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me remind you of something I told you on Thursday, since it's been 3 days in between. The items that officially come into evidence by my pronouncement take on a different significance. They're the actual evidence in the case. They will go back with you into the jury room during deliberations. There may be other items that are used during the trial that do not officially come into evidence, such as items used to refresh a witness's memory or a demonstrative aid here in court. That's not the actual evidence, will not go back with you into the jury room. Also, now that an item is officially in evidence, it may be shown to you or published to you by either of the attorneys. And you may proceed, Mr. Richardson.
And permission to publish, sir.
You may do so.
Okay. Okay. So as we're looking here at Exhibit 116, go ahead and describe for the jury and also for the record what we're looking at.
That is what I saw whenever I first arrived on scene and made contact with the body.
Okay. And Exhibit 117?
It's another angle.
Same body?
Yes, sir.
And both of these depict the victim on August 24th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And from that point forward, you're a road deputy, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did you then notify detectives within the homicide division of the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office?
I notified my supervisor, and the supervisor made some notifications from there.
Okay, so from that point forward, this was not your case, and more homicide detectives came in and they began their investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Gilkey. I have no further questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Cross-examination.
Just very briefly, sir, that area that you found the body in, that wasn't a wooded area, correct?
It's partially wooded. Just depends on wherever they're located.
Do you remember taking the deposition in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember stating in the deposition when asked if the area was wooded, you said, I wouldn't describe it as wooded?
Right.
No further questions.
Any further questions from the state?
No regret.
May Deputy Gale give you release from the subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No objection.
Thank you, Deputy. You're released from your subpoena. You're free to stay or leave as you wish.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
William Mullen.
Please swear affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
If you could, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
William Drew Mullen III, M-U-L-L-A-N.
And what do you do for a living?
Self-employed.
All right. Back in 2018, did you own a business?
Yes.
Okay. And what business did you own?
There's a pizza restaurant in Vero Beach.
Okay. And during that time, would you ever have to travel along Russo Road in San Luis County?
Yes.
Okay. Why would you travel along that road?
It was just a cut through from my house to get to Vero. It's like a back road, stay away from traffic, that kind of stuff.
So what I want to do is I want to go back to August 23rd of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay. Was there something that occurred that led you to reach out to law enforcement?
Yes. That was the, are you talking about this is the day, during the day, right?
Or during the nighttime?
During the nighttime.
Is there something
yes.
that you saw that on an evening along Russo Road?
Yes.
Okay. What is it that you saw as you were? Well, first off, were you driving at night on August 23rd?
Yeah, at night. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And where were you going?
I was going back home from the pizza place. So I was pulling onto Russo Road, and usually there's nobody on that road at that time of night, and just so happened to be a truck sitting there. So.
All right. Now, before I ask you some questions about the truck, approximately what time of night is this?
This was between 11 and 11:30.
And if you could describe for the jury, you're turning down Russo Road.
Yes.
Describe for them what you see. If there is a vehicle, describe the vehicle. What do you see it doing?
Yeah. So as soon as I turned on the road, it was dark, and then all of a sudden, lights popped on. So it was probably about 150 yards down the road. So I thought that was very suspicious. So I started coming towards the vehicle, and that vehicle started coming towards me. I noticed it was a truck, and it was kind of creeping towards me. It was a silver or gray truck, like a big truck, like a full-size truck, and it was like a clean truck. I noticed it had like shiny, like kind of chrome, like rims and pieces on the truck and whatnot. And then I just passed by the truck. So dark tint windows.
Can you describe something happening with the lights when you saw the truck?
Yeah, as soon as I pulled on the road, it was like the fog lights that popped on right away. Which I thought was suspicious because instead of turning on all your lights, it was like fog lights. I feel like a lower light, so. And
that's my next question. So you described it as fog lights. Where would those lights be on the truck that you saw?
More down towards the bottom. So that's what I thought was suspicious. It wasn't like your normal headlight that popped on. It was like a light, though, two lights that were on the bottom. So.
And as you approached the truck, what did it do?
Immediately started. I could tell it just started like kind of creeping towards me. So as I was going east from Johnson Road, it started coming west towards Johnson Road.
All right, and then where did that truck end up going?
Since it was kind of weird, I was watching it in my rearview mirror. It stopped at the stop sign, and then it took a right, which would be north on Johnson Road.
And did you do anything in response at this time?
No, I mean, I just kept going and went home that night, like normal, so.
So you didn't contact law enforcement?
Not that night, no.
All right, what caused you to end up to reaching out to law enforcement?
Well, this was my everyday route, so the next day when I was coming down that road, I noticed they had it blocked off, and I was coming west towards, I was on 27th Ave. I'm from Bureau, so I call it 27th Ave, so then I went down to Indrio, went down, then went west, got on Johnson Road, started going towards Vero, and then when I came up on Russo Road, I noticed that there was police officers parked there, and I had saw a tent set up right where I saw that truck. So I figured maybe I should stop and at least tell them what I saw the night before in case it had something to do with it. So,
And is that what you ended up doing?
yes, I immediately pulled over on the side of the road and spoke with the detective.
Thank you, Mr. Mullen. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Cross-examination?
No cross-section.
May Mr. Mullen be released from his subpoena this time?
Yes, sir, you may.
Any objection?
No objection.
Mr. Mullen, you are released from your subpoena. You're free to stay or leave as you wish. Thank you. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. The state calls Elizabeth Bedolla.
Elizabeth Bedolla. Ma'am, if you raise your right hand and face the clerk.
Please verify that evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Morning, ma'am. Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
My name is Elizabeth Bedolla. Last name?
Scoot up to the microphone and maybe we could angle it so it amplifies the voice. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Elizabeth Bedolla. Bedolla.
Okay. And did you know a female by the name of Tania Wise?
Yes, she's my daughter.
Okay. She's your daughter. Okay. I want you to go ahead and describe Tania for us. So first, way back on August 23rd of 2018, how old was Tania?
She was 23.
I'm sorry.
She was 23.
Okay. And did she have children?
Yes. At home, she had an 8-year-old, Jamar, and she was pregnant.
Okay. How far along was she in her pregnancy?
She was about 8.5 months.
Okay. And had Tania decided on the name of the baby?
She decided that on the baby shower. It's Josiah Thomas Wise.
Okay. A boy.
A boy.
Okay. And did she live with you on August 23rd of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did you guys live? What was the address?
2014 Southwest Larchmont Lane in Port St. Lucie.
Okay. Is that located near Bayshore Boulevard?
Yes.
Okay. And is there like is there a Winn-Dixie close to that area?
Yeah, if you continue the road, it's 2 blocks down. There's a Winn-Dixie.
Okay. Do you remember her phone number?
I believe so. It's 772-607.
Okay. And did you pay for her phone or did somebody else pay for it?
Bradley paid for it.
And what's Bradley's name?
Bradley, I think it's Rodriguez. I'm not sure, Rodriguez or Hernandez, one of the two.
Bradley Rodriguez?
Uh-huh.
Bradley Rodriguez Jr.?
Yes.
Okay. So let me go back and I want to focus you in on the events of August 23rd, 2018 in the evening time. Do you remember that time?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. What were you doing around 8 in the evening on that day in your house?
Me and my daughter, Tania, we had given her son a bath because he was going to school. So we gave him a bath around that time always. And I was going to get him dressed. She was going to go out. She needed to get drinks because he didn't have no drinks for lunch the next day.
Okay. And did she, about what time did she leave?
It's probably around anywhere between a little bit after 8. I mean, I said a little bit. I mean, I didn't exactly look at the clock, but I know it was a little bit after 8. Could have been 8:15, 8:20. It was around that time.
Okay. Okay. And when she left, where was she going again? I couldn't quite hear you. I'm sorry.
She was going to go get drinks for her son for school for his lunch.
Okay.
That's the purpose she left the house, because she had problems walking and everything because of her pregnancy. So she left just to get the drinks.
Okay. And was that the last time you ever saw your daughter Tania?
Yeah, by the door. Yes.
Okay. And are you aware if Tania had a follow-up doctor's appointment the following week?
Yes, it was a Tuesday for her C-section. They were going to schedule her C-section.
Okay. On the next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a scheduling appointment for her C-section.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Any questions from the defense?
Ma'am, prior to your daughter's murder, you were aware that she was dating Bradley Rodriguez Jr., correct?
Yeah, they kind of had some type of relationship
Because he actually lived with you in your house, is that right?
for a short period of time.
Okay, and in March of 2013, you had actually kicked him out of your house, right?
Correct.
And that's because he got violent with Tania?
I didn't like the way he treated her, yes.
Okay, but he laid hands on her in front of you?
I don't recall seeing him hitting her at all, but I just didn't like the way he treated my daughter.
You were also aware that she was dating another gentleman by the name of Mark Burke?
Objection. Relevance.
Overrule the objection. You may answer the question.
She was dating him. she separated from Mark. They kept a friendship, and she dated Mark.
Were you aware that Mr. Bradley Rodriguez Jr. would threaten Tanya?
Objection, relevance, and exceeds the scope of direct examination.
I'm concerned about, no, I'll overrule objection. You can answer the question.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Were you aware that Mr. Bradley Rodriguez Jr. had been threatening Tanya?
At one point, she had mentioned it to me.
Did you believe that Bradley Rodriguez Jr. was the father of your daughter's child?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll sustain the objection as to what this person's opinion was is irrelevant for purposes of the trial.
Around August 15th or 16th of that year, you took your daughter to Bradley Rodriguez Jr.'s house to pick up the baby clothes, is that right?
Yes.
And you told law enforcement that Mr. Burke actually was also abusive with your daughter, right?
Objection, hearsay.
Hold on a second.
I'll rephrase the question.
Okay, if you want to rephrase it.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Burke was violent with your daughter, correct?
I think he was.
Had your daughter just started speaking with another gentleman who went by the nickname of Casino, but his real name was Jared Christie?
That was her friend, yes.
I don't have any further questions.
Direct from the statement.
No regret.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down from the witness stand. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. The people sent forward to call Dr. Linda O'Neill.
Raise your right hand, please.
Please swear affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I did.
Over this video.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Linda Rush O'Neill, O''Neil.
Okay. And Miss O'Neill, what did you do for a living back on August 23rd of 2018, 25th of 2018?
I was an associate medical examiner for District 19 Medical Examiner's Office in the state of Florida.
Okay. Can you give the jury a thumbnail sketch of your education, your training, and your experience, please?
I graduated from the University of Memphis in 1987 with a Bachelor's of Science degree. Following that, I attended East Tennessee State University Quillen College of Medicine, where I graduated with a medical degree in 1992. After that, I did a 5-year residency program, which I completed in St. Louis at St. Louis University Hospital in St. Louis. After that, I did a 1-year fellowship training in forensic pathology at the Broward County Medical Examiner's Office in Broward County, Florida.
Okay. And are you licensed to practice medicine in the state of Florida?
I am.
Okay. And I want to talk specifically about your career track. And you just mentioned Broward County. So can you go ahead and elaborate on that for the jury? What did you do in Broward County?
I joined there. I did my fellowship training there, and then I joined as an associate medical examiner there in January of 1999. I continued to work for the Broward County Medical Examiner's Office until 2004, and then I became an associate medical examiner for the West Palm Beach County Medical Examiner's Office, and I was there until May of 2009, which at that time I joined the District 19 Medical Examiner's Office, and I was there until I retired in 2020.
Okay. And go ahead and just give the jury a general description of what a medical examiner does on a day-to-day basis.
Basically, in the state of Florida, a medical examiner is investigating certain deaths that fall under their jurisdiction. Most of them, of which we do autopsy examinations on, and the autopsy examinations are done to determine cause and manner of death.
Okay. And go ahead and describe what an autopsy is. Give the jury an overview about what an autopsy is. What an autopsy is. I'm sorry.
Basically, an autopsy is an examination of a deceased person. It's an external examination of the body and an internal examination of the body. the external examination of the body is not only just the characteristics of the body, female, male, height, weight, also whatever's on the body, be clothing or anything else that you would find on the body. Evidence would be collected from the body. Then there would be documentation of injuries or any other kind of abnormalities on the external part of the body. Photographs would be taken during all these parts of the autopsy examination. Sometimes x-rays are taken prior to the internal examination. And then an internal examination is done, in which the chest cavity is open, the abdominal cavity is open, the cranial cavity is open, and all the organs inside those cavities are taken out and examined.
Okay. And approximately how many autopsies have you performed in your entire career?
I don't remember the exact count, but when I retired, it was over 5,000.
Okay. And have you ever testified in circuit court regarding your findings from an autopsy?
I have.
Approximately how many times?
Over 100 times. I don't have an exact number.
Sure. And were you working on August 25th of 2018?
I was.
Okay. And what were you doing that day?
That day, on August 25th of 2018, I became involved with the case of Tania Wise and did an autopsy examination on her that morning.
Okay. And what materials did you review in order to form your opinions in this case?
You mean just recently or at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, obviously all the findings of the medical examiner's office, any information that would be given to me by law enforcement or their personnel, laboratory findings, because we do other things like toxicology analysis and microscopic examinations. We did x-ray examinations on her body. So all of those would have been involved in determining the cause and manner of death.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned a toxicology test.
Yes.
Was it, we'll start there. Was a toxicology test performed on Tania Wise?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and first explain what the toxicology test is and what it's testing for.
During the autopsy examination, we take blood and other body fluids. Those are sent to a laboratory that does the toxicology testing. They test for, they do drug screen and alcohol screen, testing for the presence of those in the body, and that was done in this case.
Okay, and what were the results?
The results in this case, I took heart blood from her body, and the heart blood showed a level of 0.017 grams per deciliter of ethanol. Also, at the time of the autopsy, I took vitreous fluid, which is fluid from the eye, and that was tested and showed no ethanol present in that specimen.
Okay, and ethanol is alcohol?
Correct.
Okay, so can you go ahead and explain to the jury why that number for ethanol is important to them?
Yes, in this case, there was some decomposition occurring, and ethanol can be created by bacteria that is in the body and is affecting the body after when decomposition starts. It can create ethanol in the body. So her level was so small that in all likelihood, in my opinion, it's from the decomposition, because the vitreous fluid in the eye, there's none present. And also, on this particular autopsy, there was a collection of blood in the cranial cavity called subdural hemorrhage, which would be unlikely as affected by bacterial decomposition than the heart blood would be. And it showed no evidence of ethanol either. So none in the vitreous fluid, none in the ocular fluid, and just a small amount in the heart blood fluid.
Okay. Is that more consistent with decomposition and inconsistent with ingesting alcohol, like beer, wine, etc.?
Yes.
And did you, and I think you mentioned it earlier, but as part of your autopsy, do you take photos to document the injuries and the other important aspects of the autopsy?
Yes.
Okay. I want to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits number 118 through 143. If you could take a look at those for me for a second. What were those numbers, Mr. Rickey? 118 and 143.
These are all photographs from the autopsy examination.
Okay. And those exhibits right there, 118 through 143, are those fair and accurate depictions of the autopsy that you performed on Tania Wise and her baby Josiah?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence 118 to 143.
Any objection?
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
And permission to publish.
You may.
Okay. So here we're looking at exhibit number 118. Go ahead and just briefly describe what we're looking at here, Dr. O'Neill.
This is an initial photograph. This is how she was at the medical examiner's office before we started any of the examination. So it's an initial photograph showing her at the medical examiner's office.
Okay. And is it part of your process for every autopsy to take photographs like this where the victim comes in or the body comes in and you take initial photographs without unclothing them first?
Yes.
Okay. And let's advance to exhibit number 119. And same question, what are we looking at here?
This is an identification photograph. This is taken after the body is cleaned so we can get a good picture of the face for identification.
Okay. And I first noticed there's some red marks on her face and shoulders and chest and arms. Can you explain to the jury what that is?
One of the things that happens after we die is the postmortem settling of the blood, which is called livor mortis or lividity. When we die, our blood stops moving in our body, and it will settle to the dependent area by gravity. So if you're on your back, it can settle on the back. If you're lying face down, it can settle on the front of the body. And for a period of time, that can move. Like for a period of time, if someone was on their face and moved over to their back, the lividity can move to the back, and vice versa, or in any other way that gravity is affecting the body. But after a certain amount of time, that lividity becomes fixed, which means that it's not going to move when the body moves. So it's fixed in the position of the dependent gravity in a body position.
Okay. And if we advance to exhibit number 120, please. Okay. So here we are looking at exhibit number 120. What exactly do you see here, doctor, that's important to you?
This is a photograph of a wound on the top of the head. It's on the top of the head, but the posterior aspect, so the back of the head. You can see there, through the head hair, you can see that there's a large wound that's visible.
Okay. And exhibit number 121, please.
Again, that's a close-up showing that this is a gaping wound, and it's a full thickness gaping wound, because even now, even with head hair there, you can see at the bottom of that photograph skull, you can see visible skull through the margins of the wound.
Okay. And exhibit number 122, please.
This is that same wound. This is after the head hair around it has been shaved, so you can get a better look at the margins of the wound and the tissue involving the wound, and then again you can see the skull through the base of that laceration.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at exhibit 122 here. Okay, so tell us about this wound, doctor. Can you go into more detail about that wound? First of all, what do you believe caused it, and what were the consequences from it?
Well, this type of wound is a blunt trauma injury, meaning that it's a forceful blow to the body. Blunt trauma injuries include bruises or contusions. It includes abrasions, scraping of skin. It includes lacerations, which is kind of a crush and tear injury of the skin. And fractures are also common blunt trauma injuries. In this case, this wound is a full thickness laceration or blunt force trauma. And there is fracture of the skull too underlying this. So this is a full thickness laceration, full thickness blunt force injury, which would have been a very forceful blow with some type of heavy object. I can't say specifically what that object was.
Is this something that could have been caused by human hands, or does it require something heavier and more substantial?
I cannot think of a way that this could have been caused by a human hand.
Okay. So when you say a heavy object, can you elaborate on that?
Objection, Judge Oscar.
A liberal to speculation and objection, so long as it's within your ability as a doctor to describe it with some specificity.
Heavy object being something not lightweight, something with some weight to it, and it would be used forcefully to cause this injury.
Okay. Would it have had to have had a sharp edge to it at some point?
This is a blunt force injury, so blunt force injuries wouldn't necessarily be caused by anything sharp. There's no sharp margin of the wound. When you think of a laceration is kind of a crushing, tearing injury. Like if you had a piece of material and you tore it and you have those little bridging fibers between it, that's kind of what happens with a laceration that you can see in that photograph. A sharp force injury is going to have smoother margins, like if you had that same material and you cut it with scissors, and it would be nice and smooth on each side. So this is a blunt force injury.
Okay.
If we could advance to the next slide, which is exhibit 123.
123, what are we looking at here?
This is the same wound. In the previous photographs, it's gaping open. So we try to reapproximate the margins to see if we can get any other identifying features. Not necessarily to determine right from the picture what it was, but if we have something that we could compare it to later, it might help, in that comparison.
In exhibit 124.
That is the same wound, reapproximated with the margins pushed together. You can see there's some perpendicular lacerations extending from the margins of the wound.
Okay, and how long was this wound?
The wound was 9 centimeters in length, which is approximately 3.5 inches.
And go ahead and describe the consequences of this wound. What condition did you see? What flowed from that?
Well, on the internal examination, when the skin is removed from the scalp, there's a skull fracture that's visible. And then when the top of the cranium is taken off and we look at the brain inside, there's actual bruising of the brain. There's subarachnoid hemorrhage of the brain, which is the thin layer that covers the brain itself. And then the dura, which is a thicker membrane around the brain, there was subdural hemorrhage or hemorrhage underneath that dura. So it not only affected the skin and the skull, it also affected the brain.
Okay. And when you say subdural hemorrhage, what exactly does that mean?
That means that there's collection of blood, that there was bleeding inside the cranial cavity that collected in the subdural space.
Okay. And you also used the word that I have the same question for, subarachnoid hemorrhage. What is that?
The arachnoid layer is a very thin, translucent tissue that covers the external part of the brain. And so it would be hemorrhage underneath that layer.
And you indicated that there was a skull fracture present as well?
Correct.
Okay, can you describe that for me?
The skull fracture starts at the point where you see this laceration, and it curves around to the left side of the skull, the left parietal and frontal region of the skull. So it's a linear fracture extending from the point of the blow.
And is there also cerebral edema
Yes.
present? Can you explain to the jury what that is?
When the brain undergoes trauma like this, one of the things that quickly happens is the brain swells because of the injury. So cerebral edema is swelling of the brain.
Dr. O'Neill, can you, based on your training and experience, can you describe for the jury, as best you can, how much force was used to cause the injuries to Ms. Wise's head that we've seen thus far?
Well, what I could say is it's extreme force. It's one forceful blow with an instrument that would be heavy enough to create that wound.
Okay. Is the wound that you've just described and the pictures that correspond to it, would that have automatically rendered Ms. Wise unconscious, or could she have maintained at least some measure of consciousness after receiving that blow?
It may or may not have rendered her immediately unconscious.
Okay. And I want you to set aside the other injuries and just focus on this injury, okay? If we set aside those injuries, is this head wound, is this head injury sufficient by itself to cause death, assuming that there's no immediate medical attention that Ms. Wise could have received?
Yes, this one could have caused death.
Okay. Now, as we're sitting here, you've just described the injury, we've seen the photos. Let me ask you this. Did Ms. Wise feel a high degree of pain as a result of this injury?
Objection, cause for speculation.
Skull is visible, the entire skull is visible. And you can see that linear, there's a line that's going in the picture, it's horizontal just above where the ruler is, and that's the fracture. The point of impact being on the right side of that, and then that linear fracture extending across that photograph.
Okay. And the next exhibit? Which is one? We're looking at 127 here. Go ahead and explain what we're looking at here.
Again, that is the fracture, the linear fracture. The top of the head is actually just above the ruler there. The top of the head is towards the right. So that would have been underlying that point of impact. And then you see the linear fracture. It gives you a little bit better location of how that fracture starts at the top posterior part of the head and then goes around the left side of the skull.
Okay. And 128, please. Okay. Again, what are we looking at?
This is a photograph of the brain after the skull cap has been removed. You can see there's darker red regions of the brain, and then there's more pink or lighter regions of the brain. The darker red regions are where there is hemorrhage and contusion of the brain. And that would be, there's a little thin translucent membrane. That's the subarachnoid membrane that we were talking about, and you can see that there's hemorrhage underneath that.
And the next exhibit, which is 129. Okay, so let's transition from the head injury to other injuries of the body. What were the locations on the body that you observed additional injuries?
There was a large incised wound that extends from the front of the neck to the back of the neck. And then in this photograph, you see a smaller incised wound, which is on the left clavicular region of the body, so just near the left clavicle. That's an incised wound. That's a sharp wound. If you look at the margins of that wound, you see they're nice and smooth. So it's caused by something that's sharp.
I believe we're looking at 129 here. And go ahead and, I believe you said this was on the clavicle?
In the clavicular region of, yes.
Okay. And how deep and long was this wound?
This one was 2 centimeters in length and 0.5 centimeters in depth. To give you a comparison, 2.54 inches is related to a centimeter. So, 2.54 inches. I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll move on to Exhibit 130. What are we looking at here?
This is the incised wound of the neck. This wound starts in the front of the neck and goes around to the right side of the neck and to the right back of the neck. This is the incised wound at the anterior margin, and it's really bifurcated. Right here, you're seeing one margin of that wound. If we go to another photograph, I think you'll see that there's more than.
Yes, ma'am. We'll go to 131.
Right. So this is the wound margin when the head is tilted back, and you can see that there are two distinct lines, a V-shaped bifurcation of the anterior part of the neck where this incised wound starts at the front of the neck. You can see it goes full thickness through the skin, and then it goes around the side of the neck to the back of the neck. In this case, there are two wound tracts that merge. So there's two incised wounds that merge into one wound tract.
Meaning that there were two wounds, not one. This is not one continuous wound. This is two.
Two, yes.
And can you explain and describe for the jury how long each wound was, as well as the depth?
Yes. I believe I said it backwards before. So an inch is 2.54 centimeters. To give you, I think I said it backwards last time. But this wound in centimeters was 19 centimeters in length, and in inches that would be 7.5 inches in length.
Okay. And the depth.
The depth of the wound ranged from in the deepest part of that wound, it went to 1 1/2 inches, and in other areas, 1 1/4 inches in depth.
Okay. At any point along that wound, did it approach or even touch the neck bone or any bone in the neck?
At its deepest margin on the lateral neck, you could see the cervical vertebrae at the base of the wound, yes.
Okay. And describe the amount of force that had to have been used to create those wounds that we're seeing here in Exhibit 131.
This would have been caused with a sharp force instrument. So it's a cutting, incised, sharp force injury. So depending on the wound and how sharp it was, it would depend on the force.
You mean the instrument? You said the wound and how sharp it was. You mean the instrument?
The instrument would have a sharp edge, yes.
Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah, so depending on the instrument and the sharpness of the instrument, that would depend on how much force it would take to create these injuries.
Okay. And what is the directionality of these incised wounds?
These wounds start on the front of the neck and end on the posterior part of the neck.
Okay. So front to back.
Front to back.
And if we could advance to the next slide. Okay. Now we're looking at We're looking at Exhibit 132. Go ahead and describe this for the group.
So this is on the right side of the neck. This is where those two incised wounds have merged together and have created one larger incised wound. And you're looking at that wound gaping open on the right side of the neck.
Okay. And the next exhibit? 133.
Again, that's the incised wound. You can see the bifurcation on the interior neck. And then on the right side of the neck, you can see that there is depth to this wound. You can see where it's gaping open. Those are the regions where it went the deepest on the right side of the neck.
And Exhibit 134.
This is showing the wound approaching towards the back of the neck. So this is the right side of the neck, and the wound continues to the posterior right neck.
Okay. And Exhibit 135. What are we looking at?
Because there's an incised wound of the neck, we want to see what things were damaged by that. There's obviously skin, soft tissue, and some muscular damage because of the sharp force trauma. But also we're looking at the vessels, what vessels would have been affected in the neck. In this photograph, you can see the forceps is holding up. This is the external right jugular vein that's completely transected. You can see the hole underneath the forceps, where the forceps holding that open. That's the jugular vein incised open.
Okay. And just a little bit more detail, what is the purpose, or what does the jugular vein do?
The external jugular vein, it drains blood from our scalp and face. It's draining it from our head in those regions and taking it back to the heart.
Okay. And and we're seeing here that the external jugular vein has been cut or severed, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury the amount of loss of blood that would have resulted from this wound?
Well, this wound, there would be quite a bit of blood lost from this wound, and this blood loss from this wound could cause death in and of itself if it's not medically treated.
Okay. And the next slide. 136 we're looking at here?
That's a close-up of that external jugular vein. You can see it better in this photograph. The opening there is the external jugular vein incised open.
Okay. And Exhibit 137.
And this is the posterior neck. So you can see that this incised wound goes all the way around from the front of the neck, the right side of the neck, to the back of the neck.
And I want to return to the head injury for a second. Okay. As you know from the materials, the victim was found in near some vomit. Can you describe to the jury what would have caused the vomit?
Well, nausea and vomiting is not uncommon with head wounds and head trauma. So in this instance, that type of head injury could induce vomiting.
Okay. Is there a relationship between the victim vomiting and the loss of consciousness or the ability to stay conscious?
No.
And did you observe?
Could you maybe ask and clarify that question and answer? I'm not sure I understood.
Okay. With respect to the vomit, okay, when somebody vomits, does that mean that can someone vomit in a state of unconsciousness?
Yes.
Okay. And did you observe any defensive wounds on Miss Wise's body?
I did not.
Okay. And based on the materials that you've read and your overall understanding of the case, based on your examination and your photographs and everything that you've described, can you tell the jury what can you tell the jury about the time of death in this case?
Time of death is it's a very difficult thing to determine. There are factors that we look at to see if we can narrow down a time frame. Basically, when we're looking at time of death, in a case like this where a body is found outside, we start with the window that's the easiest, which is when do we know they were last alive, when can we verify they were alive, and then when were they found. So that's the time frame we start with. As far as I recall, I believe she was last known to be alive around 8 o'clock the night prior, and then she's seen by a passerby close to 11 o'clock in the morning the next day. So that's our time frame window. And then we look at other factors of the body to see if we can make any determination of anything that we can narrow that down. One of the things that we look at is the stiffening of the body. Stiffening or rigidity or rigor mortis is when the body, after someone dies, because of reactions that are happening in the muscle fibers of the body is first flaccid, then it becomes stiff, fully stiff for a certain period of time, and then that stiffness goes away. Typically, and under normal circumstances, that rigidity, it would take approximately 12 hours for it to become really full, so a person is really fully stiff. Then it would stay about 12 hours, and then after that, it would go away in 12 hours. So in about 36 hours, they've gone through the whole range. She was seen there at 10:53. An investigator from our office was at the scene around 1 o'clock and noted that there was full rigidity. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, on August the 24th, she was in full rigidity. Another thing that we look at when we're looking at the body is the lividity that we just discussed. The lividity is the pooling of the blood. The blood goes to where the lowest point that gravity is taking it, and it will stay there. And if it stays there and the body's not moved, it becomes fixed. In other words, even if we move the body after that, that lividity is not going to move. That usually takes somewhere between 8 and 12 hours. So in her case, at 1 o'clock, and the investigator's there, she's moved, and her lividity is on the interior part of the body. So the next day, when I do the examination of the body, it's still on the anterior part of the body, which means it was fixed there. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that was fixed. So if we look at those time frames, assuming that the rigidity is there at 1 o'clock and the lividity is fixed at 1 o'clock, it could be at least 12 hours from the time of her death, and it can be longer, up to 24, which we know it wasn't that long because we know that she was alive. So.
Before you continue on with your examination, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take our mid-morning bathroom break for 10 minutes. Please remember, leave your notes on your chairs. Do not discuss the case with each other. Please proceed to the jury room. Feel free to use the restrooms, and we'll be with you in about 10 minutes.
Injuries in this case, and simply look and examine the neck wound on its own by itself. Is that sufficient to cause the death of Tania Wise? So if she did not receive immediate medical attention?
Yes.
Okay. And part and parcel to your autopsy, is there a process by which a blood standard is collected?
At the autopsy examination, we do collect a blood standard DNA sample.
Okay, what is the purpose of that?
It could be for anything, for comparison with other DNA, for comparison with evidence, for anything that might come up in the future.
Okay, so if investigators find a blood spot and they don't know the identity, would they be able to take the blood standard and then compare it to see if there's a match?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to show you what has been marked as states number 144. Do you recognize this? And you can open it up if you need to.
This is an envelope that contains post-mortem evidence collection. Tania Wise, her autopsy number, and the date of the autopsy examination are on the envelope, and my initials are signed on this. So this would have been collected at the time of the autopsy.
Okay, and is that the blood standard of Tania Wise?
I can't see inside the envelope, but this would be an envelope that would be in. This
Okay.
is a DNA standard envelope.
Okay, is the packaging consistent with that being a blood standard of Tania Wise?
Yes.
Okay, and are your initials actually on that?
Yes.
Okay. Does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition that it was in when it was collected on August 25th of 2018?
There are other initials and other tape on here that have been added since I did this.
Sure.
So it's been to other places, but the envelope, yes, is in the same type of condition, yes.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence exhibit number 144.
We'll come into evidence without objection.
Thank you. Okay, doctor, now I want to turn your attention to the baby, Josiah Wise. And I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 138 for identification purposes. What are we looking at here?
During the autopsy examination, as we open body cavities, we take photographs of things that are, any findings, internal findings. This is the abdominal cavity of Tania Wise opened, and that large object you see there is the uterus, the womb, and it is extremely enlarged because of a pregnancy.
Okay. And turn your attention now, and we'll move ahead to Exhibit 139. What is that?
This is a photograph of the womb opened up. The head of, inside this amniotic sac, you can see which is still intact, there's a fetus, a near full-term fetus. The head of the fetus is toward the birth canal, the vaginal canal, so it would be in a head-first type of positioning, and it's a near full-term fetus.
Okay, so it was head first into the womb, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. In Exhibit number 140.
This is the baby after I've incised the amniotic sac and I'm removing the baby from the body. You can see that this is the same position it was in. Full-term child with no abnormalities noted. Full-term fetus with near full-term fetus with no abnormalities noted.
Okay. And Exhibit number 141.
This is the fetus, Josiah Wise, on the examination table. You can see that anatomically is well-formed male fetus. All the weights and measurements are consistent with the estimated gestational age of 38 weeks.
Okay. Exhibit number 142.
And this is the back showing there's no abnormalities, nothing abnormal about the development of this fetus.
Okay. And exhibit, finally, the last exhibit is 143.
Again, this is examination of the fetus showing that it's well-formed, all extremities are well-formed, hands, feet, fingers, and toes are all well-formed, and the face are well-formed.
Did you weigh the baby and measure the baby?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe your results?
The weight was 5.22 pounds, and the measurement was 20 inches in length.
Okay. Can I believe you said that there were no abnormalities? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Based on your autopsy as well as your review of Ms. Wise's medical records, is there any indication that this was anything other than a healthy baby boy?
No.
This was a healthy baby boy?
Yes.
Okay. Did the baby live after Ms. Wise died, or did they die at the same time? Can you provide some detail on that issue?
At this gestational age, that infant, any infant or fetus inside the womb is dependent on the mother's blood flow for nutrients and oxygen. When the mother has died, that blood flow stops. So the infant doesn't die instantaneously, but as it's depleted from oxygen and blood flow, it would die after she died in a matter of minutes.
Okay. And what was the baby's cause of death?
Well, this was an intrauterine fetal demise, and it was an intrauterine fetal demise due to the maternal death due to blunt and sharp force trauma.
Okay. And final few questions. Based on your training and experience, could the head injury to Tania Wise have occurred before the neck injury?
It could have, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Judge. Just very briefly. Ma'am, you said that you reviewed Ms. Wise's medical records?
Yes, I was given medical records to look at.
Okay, and did that include her records from her OBGYN?
There were some OBGYN records, yes.
Okay, and you were aware then at the date of her last appointment with her OBGYN on August 13th of 2018 that they estimated that the fetus was 31 weeks gestation. Is that correct?
I don't recall that from them.
Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you her OBGYN's records from that date?
Okay.
Permission to approach the witness, Judge? Thank you, Judge.
You'll see the date right there,
Yes.
and then the
August 13th.
highlighted portion right there.
Gestational age, it does say 31 weeks.
Okay, so on Ms. Wise's visit to her OBGYN, who had been monitoring her pregnancy the entire time, on August 13th of 2018, her OBGYN noted that the baby's gestational age was 31 weeks. Is that correct?
According to those medical records, that's what they put in their medical records, yes.
Okay, and that was her OBGYN for the entirety of her pregnancy, correct?
I don't recall, but possibly yes.
Okay, would you like to see all of his medical records?
No, thank you.
Okay.
If that was her OBGYN, that was her OBGYN.
Okay, and also on that record that I just showed you, the estimated date of delivery for the fetus was October 15th of 2018. Is that correct?
I don't know if that's correct or not.
Would it refresh your recollection again if I showed you the OBGYN's records that you reviewed?
I don't know if I reviewed those specifically, but you can show them to me.
Sure,
yes.
permission to virtually check. Thank you.
Yes, it does say 10/15/2018.
EDD, estimated date of delivery, correct?
That's correct.
And, ma'am, in your review of Ms. Wise's OBGYN's records, you learned that she had something called SVT.
Yes.
Okay, can you explain to the jury what SVT is?
SVT is supraventricular tachycardia, meaning that the heart can go into a rapid beat.
And it can be potentially fatal for the mother and the fetus, is that correct?
It's potentially fatal, yes.
Okay, and that's why Ms. Wise's pregnancy was actually a high-risk pregnancy.
That, along with, I think that she had had a previous C-section also.
And just one final question. I think that you said this when you were talking to the state, but there was no independent injury to the fetus, correct?
That's correct.
No further questions, Judge.
Any further questions from the state?
The difference in gestational age of the child, does that affect the cause of death for the child?
No.
No further questions.
And may Dr. O'Neill be released from her subpoena at this time?
Subject to recall.
You may step down subject to recall from the attorneys. Please be sure to have a contact number for them to get in touch with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our lunch break a little bit early now because the attorneys have some business to attend to outside of your presence to keep the case streamlined. And counsel, if we could get 12:45 suffice, we got done a little bit earlier than I thought. 12:30. So take your lunch break. Don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't do any research whatsoever. Please leave your notes there. Let's aim at 12:45 coming back into session. Thank you. The jury has exited. Before we break, there was that issue that the state mentioned earlier about taking testimony outside the presence of the jury to establish the unavailability of Ms. Lim, I think it was. Lim?
Yes, sir.
Did you want to do that at 12:30, perhaps?
I don't know if I can get my witness here in time.
Okay.
I'll try to get her here as quickly as I can. I just don't have.
Well, it might be convenient, just to, since we got the timer.
Yeah.
I don't know when you were planning on putting on her testimony.
Yeah. Either. Yes.
You can head over that way to witness stand.
Good afternoon, doctor. If you could you state your full name and then spell your last name for the record?
Ruel, R-U-E-L, Stossel, S-T-O-E-S-S-E-L.
All right, and obviously I called you doctor and you're wearing scrubs, but what do you do for a living? What is your profession?
High-risk OB.
And how long have you been working as a high-risk OB?
1993.
And where do you currently work?
I have a private practice in Palm Beach County, BJ Boulevard.
And how long have you had your own high-risk practice?
I'm going on 26 years now.
All right, when you say high risk, what are you referring to?
Situations where the mother has underlying medical condition that impact on her pregnancy and or the fetus has a birth defect or something going on that makes the gestation high risk or the unborn child high risk.
All right, and before I get into the particulars of this case, where did you go to school?
SUNY Stony Brook, Long Island.
And what degree do you have from there?
MD.
All right, and prior to that, did you have to go to undergrad?
Yes.
And where did you attend undergraduate studies?
CUNY, Brooklyn.
All right.
City University of New York, Brooklyn, sorry.
And what was your undergrad major?
Biology.
After you went to medical school, did you have to do a residency?
Correct.
What additional education did you have after you attended school, and where did you do your residency?
Residency at State University of New York, Downstate Medical Center in Brooklyn, and Kings County Hospital.
And as part of your profession, do you have to undergo continual training and certifications to maintain all your licensing and ability to practice?
That's correct.
What do you have to do?
Take mock exams, review articles, research articles, etc.
And how many years has it that you've been practicing as a high-risk OB?
I finished my fellowship at Albert Einstein College of Medicine in 1993 after I completed SUNY Downstate OBGYN residency.
Now, in this particular case, did you have a patient by the name of Mrs. Wise?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And do you recall, or what are the circumstances of her going to your practice?
She was referred by Florida Community Health. We're a referral practice for high risk here in St. Lucie. She was referred for total OB care and planned for delivery.
All right. So were you her OB/GYN for the course of her pregnancy?
Yeah, correct. We were the maternal fetal medicine high risk obstetrical program that she was referred to.
And patients that have you as their doctor, how often do they come and see you?
Depending on the situation, at anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks, sometimes twice a week if they're very high risk.
Right. And does patients that come to see you, do you maintain medical records for their visits and keep track of their care?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And did you do that for Ms. Wise's case? Did she have medical records?
Yes, she did.
And have you had an opportunity to review those prior to today?
Yes, I have.
At this time, the state would move into evidence by prior business notification, State's Exhibit 151, the medical records of the patient.
No objection, subject to our previous discussion.
Subject to previous discussion and ruling, that item will come into evidence at this time.
All right, so you just testified that you are a high-risk doctor and you do get referrals out of St. Lucie County, is that right?
They referred to me for care.
What was the reason for Ms. Wise's referral to you?
It was a maternal condition of, she had a history of supraventricular tachycardia, or SVT.
And can you tell the jury what is SVT?
Basically, it means that the heart speeds up suddenly, and because this is going so fast, the blood flow patterns change. They can lose consciousness, have chest pains.
And based on this condition known as SVT, would that qualify her pregnancy as a high-risk pregnancy?
Yes, it does.
All right. And did she regularly visit your office?
Yes, she did.
Did she ever miss any appointments?
No, she did not.
When she attended, or when she first was referred to your office, did she have to undergo a standard blood panel that you require of all your patients?
Yes, as part of the process, but because she was a referral and not starting care with us, we were waiting for the final labs to be referred from the prior clinic, so we did not have all the labs at that time.
All right. But did you eventually get all of her records?
When we found out that she didn't really didn't have the records, we ordered all the prenatal panels, we call it.
Okay. And in Mrs. Wise's records, was there any evidence of there being any drug use or anything like that?
Not I'm aware of.
Now I want to talk to you about ultrasounds. What do patients at your practice get ultrasounds?
It's a core part of our practice, correct.
All right. And based on your review of the records, did Ms. Wise have 6 ultrasounds with your practice?
I think it was 5.
You think it was 5? And 5, why would she have so many ultrasounds?
The initial screening ultrasound to complete the fetal anatomy and check on the baby's growth rate, and then serial ultrasounds thereafter to finish up the anatomy, continue to monitor the fetal growth rate, and make sure that the gestation is remaining healthy.
So I'd like to start with the first ultrasound. Do you have records that show she had an ultrasound on May 17th of 2018?
Yes, I have.
At that point in time, how far along was Ms. Wise in her pregnancy?
Based on the ultrasound that was given to us, she was 18 weeks and 3 days when we saw her on that date.
And as far as your opinion, any issues with the state of either Ms. Wise's health or the baby's health at that time?
She was clinically stable. It's just that she has these intermittent supraventricular tachycardia. The gestation is a size equal dates, and we did not see anything that puts the baby high risk for any birth defects or abnormalities.
All right. So let's go to the next ultrasound. Are you showing that she also had an ultrasound on June 15th of 2018?
That's correct.
Okay, and how far along did you determine the pregnancy to be at that time?
She was 22 weeks and 4 days.
And is that showing consistent growth with the time of the last ultrasound leading up to this one?
Yes, that ultrasound composite was coming out at 22 weeks, 5 days, and by early ultrasound, she was 22 weeks, 4 days. And the size of the baby was appropriate, and we didn't see any birth defects.
All right, let's go to now July 13th of 2018. Did you also complete an ultrasound on that day?
Say the day again for me, I'm sorry.
July 13th of 2018?
Yes, we did.
How far along is Ms. Wise's pregnancy at this point?
26 weeks and 4 days by that early ultrasound.
And what is the state of both her and the baby's health at that time?
At this date, we completed the anatomy survey of the gestation, the unborn baby, and we deemed it to be no gross malformations. The unborn baby's growth rate was appropriate at 2 pounds 3 ounces at a 59th percentile, and seemed to be persistently in that 50th percentile zone for growth, which is appropriate. And she was doing well. We're just pending the cardiology evaluation because of the history of the SVT.
And I think that leaves us with 2 more ultrasounds left. Let's go to July 30th of 2018. Did you conduct an ultrasound on Ms. Wise at that time?
Yes, we did.
All right, and how far along was she, and what was the status of both her and the baby's health?
The gestational age was 29 weeks. By measuring gestation was 29 weeks, 5 days by our ultrasound criteria, and the baby was growing at the 53rd percentile with an estimated weight of 2 pounds, 15 ounces, sorry.
All right, and then the last ultrasound would be on August 13th of 2018. How far along did you determine the baby to be based on the ultrasound at that time?
Based at, 31 weeks.
And what's the status of the baby's health?
Amniotic fluid volume was normal. She reporting normal fetal movements. The biophysical profile, which we're assessing the unborn baby by ultrasound, showed that normal fetal movements, normal breathing movements. Fetal tone was appropriate. So the baby got an 8 out of 8 for the biophysical profile, which is a good score.
All right, so from May 17th of 2018 up until the last ultrasound on August 13th, 2018, did she have a healthy growing baby?
Yes, sir.
Any indication that there was going to be any complications or any major things that you saw of concern?
At that time, no, but we're pending the cardiology evaluation of the mother's heart.
All right, was there any indication to you that you saw that the child was not healthy?
By all our serial ultrasounds and assessments, the baby was healthy.
Thank you, Dr. Stossel. I don't have any other questions for this.
Sir, you never received that pending cardiology report?
Because of her insurance, there was a delay. With her insurance, the primary care physician has to refer, and we had issues with them referring, so they eventually turned it over to us, and then we were able to refer on to the cardiologist.
Did you ever receive that report back?
Not I'm aware of.
No further questions for this witness.
To the state.
Just one. Throughout the whole pregnancy, I know you testified to the beginning, but was there any ever indications that Ms. Wise was using any drugs or anything like that?
Not I'm aware of, no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Any further recross?
No, Your Honor.
May Dr. Stossel be released from his subpoena at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection to releasing Dr. Stossel?
No objection.
Thank you, Doctor. You're released from your subpoena. You're free to leave or stay as you wish.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. People State of Florida, call Kenneth Barron.
Do you swear or affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You can head over that way, please.
Afternoon.
No.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Kenneth Barron, last name Barron.
Okay. And Mr. Barron, do you know an individual by the name of Jose Soto-Escalera?
Yes.
Okay. How do you know him?
We used to work together.
Okay. How long have you known him?
Prior to working together, total probably like 10, 15 years.
Okay. And did you work with him at Waste Pro in August, in the summer of 2018?
Yes.
Okay. During your relationship, how would you refer to him as? Would you refer to him as an acquaintance, a friend, a really good friend? Where would he fall within that spectrum?
Probably in between an acquaintance and a friend, co-worker. You know, I did hang out with him a few times, you know, previous to Waste Pro.
Okay. Did you ever have any arguments with him or beefs with him or anything?
No.
Okay. Did you know the victim in this case, a woman by the name of Tania Wise?
No.
Right. Had you ever met her before?
No.
Okay. Let me take you back to the summer of 2018. Did you have a conversation?
Objection to refund.
Is overruled pursuant to previous court ruling.
Okay, I'll start over. Let me take you back to the summer of 2018. Did you have a conversation with this defendant, Jose Soto-Escalera, about a gun, a firearm?
Yes.
Okay, tell the jury about that.
I've completed my route and I was at the landfill dumping the truck. They have two different places you can dump the truck, on the hill or inside the building. So I was on the hill. He approached me on the hill and asked me about selling him a firearm.
Okay, and tell the jury about that. What specifically do you recall about that?
He asked me about selling him a firearm. I asked him, like, what kind of firearm are you talking about? Are you talking about a large gun, small gun? Like, what are we talking about? And he just said, oh, he just wants something, something small, something kind of like off the records, not like selling him something I personally own. Like, he wanted something like off the street, kind of sort of.
Okay.
So I asked him why, because I know he has firearms. How he got them, I have no idea, but I know he had some. So I asked him, like, I was under the impression that he could legally.
I'll just say the objection. You need to ask a question, make sure the witness is answering the exact question that you're asking.
Sure. Go ahead. You said, let me take you back. So you said that he wanted a gun that, I believe you phrased it as off the records or off the books. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. What did he specifically say to you? Did he say that he wanted a ghost gun?
Correct.
Is that how he phrased it?
That's how he phrased it.
Okay. Tell the jury specifically and exactly what he said.
He said, I'm looking for something like a ghost gun.
Okay. And what was your response to that?
I said, I don't have anything to do with it yet.
I'll overrule the objection as far as what he said in response. You can answer the question. I don't know if you answered it.
You can answer the question. I didn't quite hear what you said.
My response to what he said was, I don't have anything to do with that. Like, all of my firearms are legal.
Okay.
So I don't have anything illegal to sell. I don't know anyone that has anything illegal to sell. And I was trying to figure out, why are you asking me that? Because I was under the impression.
Hold on a second. Let's stick with the script, question and answer.
Yeah. Okay. So you didn't know why he asked you that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So here's my question. This homicide occurred, Ms. Wise's body was found on August 24th of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So as best you can estimate, when did this conversation occur with Jose Soto-Escalera regarding the ghost gun?
This was 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks tops. It was recent.
Okay. So 2 to 4 weeks prior to the homicide, the
Correct.
defendant is asking you if you can obtain a ghost gun.
Correct.
Okay. And why did he approach you? Are you a gun guy?
Yes.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay.
Jury should disregard the answer.
Okay. So he approached you and that happened. So let me ask you this. What did you do for Waste Pro?
I was a route driver.
Okay. And are you familiar with the route? First of all, are you familiar with your own routes? I would imagine you are.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And are you also familiar with the routes, the trash routes of the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. This victim was found on Johnston and Russo's Road, near the intersection of Johnston and Russo's Road. Are you familiar with that area?
Yes.
Okay. Did the defendant have a trash route along that area?
Yes.
On Russo's Road?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
You're welcome.
Sure, I think you said that you knew my client for a long time before he started working at the Waste Pro together, is that right?
Correct.
And you knew his wife, Deb Soto-Escalera?
Yes, but I didn't know her a long time, though.
Okay, but you knew her?
I know her, yes.
Right? Because Deb also worked at Waste Pro, right?
Correct.
Okay, she was a route supervisor?
Correct.
Okay, so that means she was over the people who drive the routes, is that right?
Yes.
Did my client have a person who rode in the truck with him?
Yes.
Who was that?
I don't know.
Was it his brother Eric or his nephew Eric Alvarado?
That's what I was been told, but I don't know that, for sure. I don't know the guy.
Okay, understood. You said when the scene was talking to you that my client asked you for a gun, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, but what he told you was that it wasn't for him, correct?
After I questioned him about that, yes.
Okay, so he said it wasn't for him and he told you that it was for his nephew, correct?
Nephew, cousin, something of that nature.
And you were ultimately fired from Waste Pro, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you believe that Deb had something to do with you being fired from Waste Pro, correct?
Not necessarily, no.
You didn't tell law enforcement that you believed death had something to do with you being fired?
About a little bit, but not like it was all up to her, no.
Understood. No further questions, Judge.
Any further questions to the state?
No further questions.
May Mr. Barron be released from his subpoena at this time?
Amen.
Any objection to releasing Mr. Barron from subpoena?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. You're released from your subpoena. You're free to stay or leave as you wish. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
State would call Janine Hiller.
You can raise your right hand and face the clerk.
You swear affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Go over to the witness stand.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you could state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Janine Hiller, and my last name is spelled Hiller.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a crime scene investigator and latent print examiner.
All right, and in order to be, I guess, what agency do you work for?
I work for the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office.
All right, in order to be qualified for that position, do you have to have any special training or education?
Yes.
What is it?
So, I have an Associate's of Arts degree from Indian River State College, and through my almost 13 years as a crime scene investigator with the Sheriff's Office, I have had numerous hours of training. Specifically, latent print training. I've had over 300 hours in friction ridge examination, and forensic training in various forensic disciplines, over 700 hours. I'm a certified senior crime scene analyst through the International Association for Identification, and a certified latent print examiner, also through the Association for Identification.
All right, and were you working in that capacity back on August 24th, 2018?
Yes, I was.
And were you called out or responded to an area of Johnson Road and Russos Road out in St. Lucie County?
Yes.
Before I get into specifics or showing photographs, how would you describe that part of the county?
It is a very rural area. There's not a lot of housing in that direct vicinity.
And that would be north of Indrio Road?
To the north of Indrio, yes.
Close to almost the county line with Indian River County?
Yes.
As the crime scene investigator, what is your job when you get out to a crime scene?
As a crime scene investigator, when I respond to crime scenes, my primary role is to document the crime scene, analyze anything that might be in the crime scene, determine if it has any evidentiary value, collect and preserve that evidence.
And do you guys document the scene as it exists when you first arrive?
Yes.
How do you go about doing that?
Taking photographs.
Okay, now in this particular case, did you end up taking photographs?
Yes, I did.
Did you end up collecting evidence?
Yes, I did.
And also swabbing evidence?
Yes.
At this time, I have a package that's been previously marked for identification, State's Exhibits 40 through 102. If you could go through this and just let me know if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, I recognize all the photographs in State's Exhibit 4D through 102.
All right. How is it that you recognize them?
I took those photographs.
And these are the photographs of the scene as you saw it back on in August of 2018?
Yes.
Fair and accurate representation of the scene?
Yes.
This time statement of evidence 40 through 102.
No objection, Judge.
Those items will be admitted without objection.
So I'm going to publish those photos that you just went through, and I'm going to ask you to go through these with me. All right, for the record, we have State's Exhibit 40. What are we looking at here, Ms. Hiller?
This is an aerial photograph of the area of Johnston Road and Russo Road intersection that I took from a helicopter.
All right, and which out of the two roads we have, call it horizontal and one is vertical, which road is which?
The road that's vertical, that's going off into the distance, is Johnston Road, that's going towards the south. And then the road that's going towards the side of the screen is Russo's Road, and it's going towards the east.
So this road here that I'm pointing at?
Yes.
To the east. Going to bring up now State's Exhibit 41. What are we looking at here?
This is the same intersection. Now we're looking towards the north, so that road that's going off towards the right side of the screen is the Russo's Road towards the east, and the one that's short vertically is Johnston Road towards the north.
State's Exhibit 42.
This is an image depicting the intersection, showing that it's Johnston Road and Russo Road.
State's Exhibit 43.
This image is depicting Russo's Road looking towards the west, and beyond that tent area that you see is the intersection that was in the State's Exhibit 42, the intersection of Russo's and Johnston Road.
So the stop sign way in the distance, that's going to be Johnston Road out there.
Yes.
And now we have State's Exhibit 44.
This would be on Russo's Road looking towards the east.
State's Exhibit 45.
This is on Russo's Road looking towards the southern side of the road.
State's Exhibit 46.
This is also on Russo's Road, pointing towards the east, where we started to see some portions of the victim.
All right, and so are you able to see where the victim is located in this photograph?
Yes.
Where is that?
The victim is located on the southern side of the road, so that would be the right area of the road in the grassy area, and there's a blue area that's within the green grass. That is the start of the victim.
And then what you're referring to is right here in this photograph?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 47. What are you documenting in this photograph?
This is just some of the overall pictures that we tend to take whenever we are documenting a crime scene. This is the victim still looking towards the east. You can see her head is to the east, her feet are to the west, and that's on that southern side of Russo's Road.
Now we have State's Exhibit 48. What do we have here?
This is a photograph depicting the victim on the southern side of the road. I am now in a different position. I'm standing on the road looking towards the south, taking like just an overall picture to document the scene.
State's Exhibit 49. Same question.
This would be from the east looking towards the west, showing the overall condition of the scene. You can see the victim still there in the kind of in the center of the picture, and this is looking towards the west.
And we have now State's Exhibit 50.
This is just a closer up photograph of the victim prior to us moving her or doing any examination.
And then we have State's Exhibit 52. What are you trying to show with this photograph?
This is just the overall condition of how we find the victim and how she is looked in the conditions that she was found in.
Did you notice anything in her hands when you examined the victim at the scene?
Well, initially we were only able to see her left hand, which was clenched in a fist. You can kind of see there, and it appears to be grasping something, but we don't know exactly what's in that hand.
So I think we're at States 52. What are you trying to show with this photograph?
Again, we weren't able to move the victim just yet, so this photograph is just depicting what we can see without moving her. We can start to see from this image that there's some form of injury on her neck. We can see some blood and a little bit of the cut injury that's there.
And what we have now is States Exhibit 53. How do you guys go about moving a victim at the scene, and I guess what's that process?
I mean, every scene is different. For this particular scene, once the medical examiner investigator arrives on scene, we put a bag, it's a body bag, so that white material that is underneath her up next to her, so that we could roll her directly into that body bag and contain any possible evidence that might be on her backside. And she's just placed there for us to begin our initial examination.
Were there any immediately obvious injuries once you were able to move the victim?
Yes. So in this image, it's depicting the victim. This is exactly how she looked once we rolled her from that ditch area onto her back and into the body bag. You can see there's an injury to the right side of her neck.
And then we have States Exhibit 54. What are we looking at in this exhibit?
This is a photograph of her right hand, which was underneath her body when we initially arrived. So just documenting the condition of her hand, and it's also close into a fist and appears to be grasping something, and the hair tie that's on her wrist.
And we now have States Exhibit 55.
This is more just documentation of the condition that she's in once we take her from the way that we found her, and documenting anything that we see.
States Exhibit 56. What was the purpose of this photograph?
Again, we're just documenting the hands, the conditions of the hands. She's got her left hand now also is grasping, appears to be grasped. We don't know if there's anything else in there, but it is clenched into a fist grabbing that grasp.
States Exhibit 57.
This is kind of showing a position where we can start to see another injury on the left side of her neck, kind of around her collarbone.
States Exhibit 58.
And this is just moving in closer to depict that image, or that this image depicts that injury that we can start to see on the left side of her neck.
And then we have States Exhibit 59. What are we looking at in this photograph?
So in the center of this photograph, there is material that we believed
I'm going to work and ask more questions too. I know what the objection is.
You're withdrawing the question and asking another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
In your work as a crime scene analyst, have you ever had the opportunity to come across vomit?
Yes, I come across all kinds of bodily fluids, to include vomit, feces, urine, blood, saliva, and semen.
Based on your experience and what you've worked with in the past, was there anything significant that you saw in this photograph that you felt you needed to make sure you documented?
While on scene, we observed the material that was in this hole where the victim's face was laying was consistent with bodily fluid that's consistent with vomit. So we documented that along with the blood that was there.
And this area that's in the center of the photograph where you can see a reddish color, where was the victim's head in reference to this?
Directly inside that little concave hole that's holding all of that material, that liquid, and the white liquid and the red liquid.
And what was the condition of the victim's clothes when you took her out of the soil on the side of the road?
A majority of her clothing was wet. In some of the photographs, I don't know if you were able to notice, but like the middle portion of her pants were appeared dry, but then there was areas where you could see that they were wet. The front side of her was wet. Her hair was wet and matted, and then her clothing especially her top was very wet, and then her face and hair were wet.
What was the condition of the ground where she was found?
So she was kind of in that swale or ditch, so it was also wet. You can see the glimmer of some of the water just below that little hole where you see the white material and the red material, so you can kind of see the glimmer of the water that's there.
So now I want to go with States Exhibit 60. Looks like we're now starting to see some markers in these photographs. What are these markers?
The cones that you see depicted in this photograph are cones that we placed to identify any kind of specific evidence that we wanted to document because we don't know when we're there, you know, what's important and what's not. So we place markers for evidence that we want to document and possibly collect.
All right, for cone A in this photograph on State's Exhibit 60, or let me go actually to State's Exhibit 61, what was of significance that you observed for State's, for marker A?
This image is depicting tire impressions that we observed on the ground from the road, which is the left side, onto the grass. So that would be the grass is on the southern side of the Russo's Road, and like this image would be towards the east.
And then I'll go with State's Exhibit 62. What is this?
This image is depicting a close-up photograph of those tire impressions that you observed with the photo marker A.
And State 63.
Also depicting that same tire marks with the photo marker A.
All right, now I'm going to move to State's Exhibit 64, and then I'll go up to State's Exhibit 65. What are you documenting in State 65?
This area is, again, on the southern side of Russo's Road, kind of looking towards the southeast. And here is documenting a flashlight and some hair that is hanging from the tree and also on the ground. So the first cone, the one that's closest, I think it's B, that is the flashlight, and the cone further away, more in the ditch, is C, and it's marking hair.
And would this be State 66, a close-up of B?
Yes.
And then we have State 67. It looks like now we've moved on to cone D.
So this is kind of a little bit to the east of that area where you saw B and C on Russo's Road. Again, looking to the east, cone D is marking that mark that's in the ground there right in front of it.
And what I'll do is I'll pull up State's Exhibit 68. What are we looking at in State 68?
Just disturbance in the gravel and the divot that's different than everything else around it.
Right, I'm going to go to State's 69. Are we just showing more markers?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 70. Is this the same thing?
Yes, so this is looking towards the east, kind of marking everything that we're finding directly around the victim, who's in the center of the screen at the top.
All right, we're at State's Exhibit 71. Which marker are we looking at now?
This marker is photo marker number, or letter F, and it's the start of a tire impression that was observed in the grass that goes from the grass area into the dirt on the road, into Russo's Road.
We're going to go to, looks like we're now looking at marker G on State 71.
So F, G, and H, which we have in a line. You don't have F in this particular image, but is marking that brown area that looks like a tire was driving there.
And are you referring to, I guess, the furthest cone to the left, the brown area that's between those two cones?
Yes.
I think we were State 73.
This is just the same area, documenting all the cones that are within the vicinity of the victim. We're marking the tire impression that's there between G and H, a cup, and some beer cans that were around the victim's body.
I'll go through States 74, and then I'll go to State 75, States 76. What are we looking at in 76?
This is a paper napkin that was on the ground just to the left of the victim's body, a little bit ahead to the east of her head.
Right. As the crime scene investigator, when you arrive on the scene, do you know all the facts?
No.
Most of the time, do you not have very much information at all?
Correct. I don't have a lot of information ever.
So do you collect everything that you see?
Not necessarily everything, but we do a lot of documentation and collect a lot of material from most crime scenes.
So we'll go to States Exhibit 77, States Exhibit 78, States Exhibit 79, States Exhibit 80, States Exhibit 81, States Exhibit 82, States Exhibit 83. The photos that I just went through, what are you documenting in these?
Just all the photo markers and cones, with the exception of, I think it was States Exhibit 82 and 83. Everything was on the south side of the road, except for that. This Coke Zero bottle was on the northern edge of the road, but we just document all those cones and all those items so that we know what is there.
So now we're going to pull up states 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93. What are we looking at in this photograph? Cone U.
Let me check my report. That's just a disturbance in the grass area that was noted that it was knocked down and in the dirt. So it was photographed and documented.
All right, we'll go to States Exhibit 94, States Exhibit 95, States Exhibit 96. What are we looking at in States 96?
This is a photograph depicting photo marker V as in Victor, and it's a condom wrapper that was located close to the intersection of Johnston and Russo.
States Exhibit W, or States Exhibit 97, photo marker W. What are we looking at here?
This image depicts photo marker W, also very close to the intersection of Johnston and Russo, and it's a t-shirt that was located on the side of the road.
All right, then we have States Exhibit 98, States Exhibit 99. Is this the same shirt?
Yes.
And then we have States Exhibit 100, States Exhibit 101, and States Exhibit 102. What are we looking at in 102?
This is the area to the west, so standing on Russo's Road looking towards the west, the intersection of Johnston and Russo, showing the conditions of the weather and the intersection and everything that we see. You can start to see this is more towards the afternoon because there's some storm clouds there in the sky.
So now I want to talk a little bit about the physical evidence that you collected. When you collect physical evidence at a crime scene, what are the other tests that a crime scene investigator can do to those items? Or at least prepare for them to be tested by someone else?
You're asking what will I do with them once I take them from the crime scene?
Yes.
Okay. So once we collect evidence as crime scene investigators, we can take them back to our lab and we can examine them for biological fluids, which would include the blood, saliva, semen, and urine. Anything that might help us with our investigation. We can process it for latent fingerprints. We can collect DNA swabs from it. We can take clippings from it. We can do all kinds of things depending on what the item is.
All right. And are you able to do fingerprint examination?
Yes, I am.
Did you examine items for fingerprints in this case?
Yes, I did.
And did you also swab items for DNA in this case?
Yes, I did.
For this time, I want to show you what's been marked for identification. States Exhibit 7. Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I recognize States Exhibit 7 as I have labeled it in my handwriting. DNA swabs, top portion of flashlight, PMB.
All right, so you testified earlier there was a photo marker that there was a flashlight that was found in the grass?
Yes.
And did you swab that flashlight for DNA?
Yes, I did.
Okay, is that what States Exhibit 7 is?
Yes.
At this time, State would move States Exhibit 7 into evidence of 7.
No objection.
Got a motion into evidence without objection. There's time.
Now, I want to ask you some items about, and before I ask you about, did you do fingerprint analysis? How is it that you're able to do fingerprint analysis?
As I said earlier, I'm trained as a latent print examiner. I am a certified latent print examiner through the International Association for Identification. To become a certified latent print examiner, you have to have education. Depending on your level of education, you have to have a certain number of years in the field. For my level of education, I had to have a minimum of 3 years of work experience as a latent print examiner. I have to go through 2 years of supervised casework while I'm in training or doing on-the-job training, in addition to all my classroom hours of training. And that, again, that was over 300 hours. And then once I meet all the qualifications for testing, I have to take a test. It's a 200 question test that I have to get a 85% or better to pass the first portion of the test, and then I have to do a comparison portion of the test, which I have to get 100% and make 13 correct conclusions.
And have you testified in court as a fingerprint analyst before?
Yes.
So, in this particular case, did you process 10 separate items that were found on the scene?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and would those include 5 Bud Light beer cans, 2 Budweiser beer cans, a Coke Zero bottle, and a plastic cup?
Yes.
Were you able to obtain anything of evidentiary value from any of those items?
No, I was not.
All right, and what does that mean?
it means that I just wasn't able to obtain fingerprints from those particular items. Latent fingerprints are an unintentional recording or recording of digital or friction-rich skin on your fingers and palms or on the soles of your feet. And those fingerprints being left can be affected by the conditions of the item when you're touching it. It can be affected by the conditions where they are left.
You want to approach?
There are certain, I guess, conditions that can affect whether or not you get fingerprints off of a certain item.
Yes.
Okay, and can that be the condition of where the item's left?
Yes.
For example, if it's left outside,
Yes.
in the rain or exposed to the elements?
I'll state the objection to the last form of the question.
Can the elements or the weather have anything to do with the condition of a fingerprint?
Yes. Fingerprints are mostly water, 98 to 99% water, so they are subjective to the conditions that they are in.
So, from the items that you found, you didn't get any fingerprints?
Yes.
Now I want to ask you, did you also attend the autopsy on August 25th of 2018 of Ms. Wise in this case?
Yes.
And was that autopsy performed by Dr. Linda O'Neill?
Yes, it was.
As the crime scene investigator, what is your role at the autopsy?
At the autopsy, my role was to document, again, take photographs, document, and collect and preserve any evidence that we had found or collected during the autopsy.
And did you collect evidence at this autopsy?
Yes.
At this time, what I'd like to show you has been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 9?
Yes, I recognize State's Exhibit 9, labeled as DNA Baby Boy Wise, and it's labeled in my handwriting.
All right. How do you go about, I guess, collecting a particular item of evidence in general?
It varies from item to item and what we're collecting and what we're doing. For this particular one, this is a blood standard, so the blood is taken from the person and placed on a card with 4 little circles of the blood.
All right. And this is the blood, in this exhibit, this is the blood from baby boy Josiah Wise from the autopsy.
Yes.
Okay. This time, State moving evidence is marked for identification. State's Exhibit 9. The evidence is 9.
No objection.
That item will come into evidence without objection.
What I'd like to show you is, did you also take swabs related to the victim's body during the autopsy?
Yes, I did.
What I'd like to provide you with is State's Exhibits 10 through 20. If you could go through 10 through 20 and just let me know if you recognize these.
Yes, I recognize State's Exhibits 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25.
All right, so on August 25th of 2018, you attended the autopsy of the victim, Tania and Josiah, correct?
Yes.
And was a sexual assault kit performed on the victim, Tania, at that time?
Yes.
And does that include taking vaginal swabs, rectal swabs, and oral swabs?
Yes.
And is there also done swabs of the victim's both hands of her fingernails and then also hairs pulled?
Both hands, some of the fingernails, pulled head hairs are part of the sexual assault kit. And then, what was the other thing you said?
Was there also hairs that were observed and taken and placed into evidence?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as States Exhibits 10 through 25, are those the hairs and the swabs that you just described?
Yes.
Okay, did you package each one of these items?
With the exceptions of the ones that are in these envelopes, these are part of the sexual assault kit envelopes, which are, I did collect these from the medical examiner's office, but I didn't personally put them in there myself.
But you were present during the autopsy, you collected them, and that's what's in those bags?
Yes.
At this time, the state would move into evidence which is marked for identification in States Exhibits 10 through 25.
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
Did you also conduct, or were you also present when a search warrant was conducted at 2613 Cactus Circle on August 31st?
August 31st?
Were you present for a search warrant at 2613 Cactus Circle?
Yes.
And what was your involvement for that?
I was there to document, much of my job is documenting, taking photographs. So again, that's what I was there for, to take pictures and assist with collection of evidence if any was located.
All right, and did you collect any evidence during the execution of that search warrant?
Yes.
What did you collect?
Some clothing, some vacuum filters, dryer filters. That's all I can think of at the moment.
And I'd like to show you what's been marked for identification in States Exhibit 26 and 27. Do you recognize those items?
Yes, I recognize 26 and 27.
How do you recognize those items?
I recognize them as my handwriting. States Exhibit 26 is hair from inside back of blue, underwear from Cactus Circle. These were not collected as part of the search warrant, but on a few days after the search warrant, when I was actually examining the clothing that was collected from that search warrant.
So you were present at the search warrant, there was clothing items collected, and these were hairs that you pulled off then from that clothing?
Correct. And then States Exhibit 27, in my handwriting, that's here, and my initials on the tape, that's here, as hairs from the back of gray-blue underwear from Cactus.
This time the state would move, it's been marked for identification is 26 and 27, and evidence is 26 and 27.
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
Did you take any DNA standards in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, did you take the DNA standard of one person by the name of Eric Alvarado?
Yes, I did.
This time I'd like to show you what's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 8, and if you could let me know if you recognize States Exhibit 8.
Yes, I understand. I recognize States Exhibit 8 as DNA standard buccal swabs of Eric Alvarado. It is in my handwriting, date and time of collection, and my tape signature.
I don't think. Can you tell the jury how do you take a buccal swab?
A buccal swab means to take something from the mouth. So we take cotton Q-tips for the simplest form, stick them in the mouth, rub them around, collect saliva and skin cells from the inside cheek, and then place them into a container to protect them.
And is that what you did with that?
Yes.
Is that taken of Eric Alvarado?
Yes, it was.
Okay, this time state moving evidence is marked for identification is 8 and evidence is 8.
No objection.
That item will come into evidence without objection.
Were you also involved in a search warrant of a Dodge Ram on September 24th of 2018?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and did you, perform that search warrant by yourself or with someone else?
With other people.
Who else were you with?
Donna Carmichael and Detective Jason Cannon.
And if you could just describe for the jury, what is the process that a crime scene investigator goes through when searching something like a vehicle?
Our process is always take photographs. We document everything that we do prior to us touching it as we move along. So with something like a vehicle, we'll take photographs of the exterior of the vehicle from the front, the side, the back, the passenger side, just to document how we find it. And then we'll go to the inside of the vehicle and do those same kind of photographs, take photographs on the inside driver, the rear driver, the rear passenger, and then again on the front passenger, just to document the condition of the vehicle that's on the inside.
And are there ever an occasion as a crime scene investigator where you use something that is referred to as Blue Star?
Yes.
What is that?
Blue Star is a blood reagent that is used to help us find or visualize latent blood, meaning hidden, we can't see it.
Under what circumstances do you use Blue Star?
Anytime that we would have a suspicion that we might be looking for blood or want to try to find possible blood.
Did you end up using Blue Star in this particular case?
Yes, we did.
And how do you, I guess, explain for the jury, what's the process? How do you use it? How do you get it onto a surface?
How do I use it, and what was the last part of the
How do you
question?
get it onto a surface? Like, how does it work?
So the chemical is mixed the day that we decide that that we're going to use it, on whatever it may be. We can use it on a variety of things. The chemical is mixed in a spray bottle, so we can spray that chemical onto the object that we're looking for latent blood. We have to work in the dark because this particular chemical creates a chemiluminescence reaction. So we have to work in a dark area. And if we find possible blood, we'll get a reaction that emits light for us to see and visualize, and it's going to be like a blue chemiluminescence or luminescence that we will see. So we'll set up our area. We're in a place where we can control the lighting. We have a camera set up, ready to take photographs for whatever we may see or not see.
All right. Did you do that for the Dodge truck in this particular case?
Yes.
Did you also collect items of evidence, I guess, straight up? If you use Blue Star and you see a section that's lit up, what else do you do? What's the next step?
We take photographs of the area that we see, like as we are applying it. And then if we find an area of reaction where we get that chemiluminescence reaction, then we will remove that section or swab that section, cut that section, collect the whole thing if we can. Depends on what the object is.
All right. And what's the purpose of doing that? Why do you take it or why do you swab it?
So that we can send it for testing to see if there's any possible DNA and get confirmation whether there is blood and if it's human or not.
For the search warrant of the truck on September 24th, did you document that with photographs?
Yes, I did.
And at this time, I'd like to show you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 103 to 115. If you could look through those and tell me.
Yes, I recognize the photographs, State's Exhibit 103 to 115.
Is that photographs that you took during the search warrant?
Yes.
And does it also show the documentation of you using Blue Star on the defendant's vehicle?
Yeah, on the Dodge Ram, yes.
On the Dodge Ram? This time, State moving out of marked for identification. State's Exhibits 103 to 115.
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
All right, for the record, we have what's been entered into evidence now as State's Exhibit 103. What are we looking at?
This is a photograph of that Dodge Ram in our evidence bay where we conducted all of the documentation and the application of the Blue Star. This is a front photo of that Dodge Ram and just kind of depicting how I'm finding it on that date. So I simultaneously will work around the vehicle, showing the front, the sides, the rear, the best I can, and then the other side.
All right, and before I go through all the photographs, I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, where are we in the photograph? Where is this photo taken at?
This photograph is taken at the St. Lucie County Sheriff's in the crime scene processing bay. It's a secure bay that we have access to in our evidence custodians.
All right, now in this particular search of this car, did you collect items of evidence?
Yes, I did.
And what I'd like to do is show you first, I'll show you what's been marked for identification in State's Exhibit 29. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 29?
Yes,
How is it that you recognize it?
I recognize it as its labeled section of carpet from driver's side in my handwriting, and again with my initials on the tape here.
Same question as to State's Exhibit 28. Do you recognize 28?
Yes.
How is it that you recognize 28?
This is a section, or this is a set of DNA swabs collected from behind the driver door handle, and it has my initials on the tape here and here.
All right, so when you did a search warrant on this car, did you swab multiple parts of the vehicle to see if you could get any DNA to send out for DNA analysis?
That was done post-application of Blue Star based on where we had reactions.
All right, so items that you pulled during the execution of this search warrant were based on what you saw from the Blue Star?
That is correct.
So for State's Exhibit 29, why did you take this section of carpet from the driver's side?
Because we had a reaction in that area in the carpet, so we collected the whole area to be sent out for possible testing.
And I'd like to now show you also what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 30 and 31.
I recognize State's Exhibit 30 as being the driver's side seat cover from Dodge truck. I recognize it as my handwriting. My initials are here on the tape. And then State's Exhibit number 31 as my handwriting labeled as driver's side visor. And my initials here on the tape.
And then same question for State's Exhibit previously marked for identification as 32.
Yes, I recognize the State's Exhibit 32 as labeled in my handwriting section of front driver's seat belt and my initials here on the tape.
All right, so for those items, the seat belt, the sun visor, why did you take those items from the truck? These were collected post application of the Blue Star. Anywhere that we observed a reaction with the Blue Star was collected or swabbed. So at this time, the state would move into evidence with marked for identification as State's Exhibits 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32.
Any objection?
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
And then what I'd like to show you again is State's Exhibits 155, 156, 157, and 158. Do you recognize those items?
I recognize State's Exhibit 155 as it is labeled swabbing from tarp of armrest, and my initials are here. State's Exhibit 156. I recognize as it is labeled driver's door armrest at pull bar, and my initials here. State's Exhibit number 157. Labeled as driver's door panel top edge of storage area, and then my initials here on the tape. And State's Exhibit 158. DNA swabs from the seatbelt buckle, date and time of collection, and then my initials here on the tape.
All right, and are these items that were also taken during the search warrant of the vehicle?
Yes.
And these were swabs that were done by you?
Yes.
At this time, the state would move in evidence with the marked for identification as State's Exhibits 157, 158, 156, and 155.
Any objection?
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
So let's go back to the photographs that you took. So State's Exhibit 103 for the record, you've testified this is the truck that is the subject of the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay, and then we have 104. What are we looking at?
These are the photographs of me just working around the Dodge Ram truck. So this is the driver's side vehicle from me standing at the rear.
All right, now we have State's Exhibit 105.
This is the rear of that same Dodge Ram truck.
State's 106.
The passenger side of the Dodge Ram truck.
State's Exhibit 107.
The front passenger hood area of the Dodge Ram truck.
State's 108.
This is a photograph depicting the interior driver's side area of the Dodge Ram truck.
All right. State's 109.
This is a photograph depicting the same inside driver area of that Dodge Ram truck. If you would like, I could get up and.
If you could.
This is after the application of the Blue Star. And then here we see the chemiluminescence blue color that you see there is that reaction to the Blue Star.
All right, and what I'd like to show you, if you want to just stay here for one moment.
Okay.
So we have State's Exhibit 111. This is State's Exhibit 111 now that we're looking at. What do you see of significance? And I guess who's the person that's in that photograph and what are they holding in their hands?
So this image is depicting, again, that driver's side area of that Dodge Ram. This person here is the crime scene supervisor, Donna Carmichael, and she is holding the bottle of Blue Star that is being applied to the driver's seat of the vehicle. We're working inside quarters there. Here, you see that chemiluminescence reaction happening on the driver's butt area and a little on the center console.
All right, what I want to do is I want to go back one picture to, I guess, 110. And so previously you showed us in this photograph there was an area where you saw Blue Star illuminated. What do you do with that section? What is the next thing that you did?
For this type of material and this particular vehicle, we determined that it would be best to just remove that whole carpet area out of the vehicle and send that whole section to the lab for testing.
All right, now if we go to the next two photographs, is this State's Exhibit 110? Has that piece of carpet then been removed?
Yes, so you can see the interior portion of the Dodge. The metal is exposed now, so we've removed this whole section.
And is that the same carpet that we just was admitted in evidence as State's Exhibit 29, the piece of carpet that you identified as getting from the search warrant?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 111, and now we go to State's Exhibit 112. What has happened now in this photograph?
Again, due to the material, we decided that we would just remove the whole seat cover, the bottom, and the backing to send to the crime lab for possible testing.
And so what we're looking at here in State's Exhibit 112 is that the driver's side seat cover that was taken that was previously entered as State's Exhibit 30.
Yes.
All right, and now we have State's Exhibit 113. What is the significance of this photograph?
This photograph is depicting the driver's side door, during the application of the Blue Star. Here, Blue Star does react with the iron and the blood, so we will get a reaction on metal surfaces here, and then we have some chemiluminescence reaction happening here along the door, on the handle, behind the handle, and then down here.
All right, so Blue Star does react with metal.
Yes.
So on metal surfaces, it lights up.
Yes.
But there's not metal surfaces on all portions in this picture.
Correct. In the areas that I just identified, on the driver pull bar, on the armrest, in that storage cubby area, there's no metal.
State's Exhibit 114. What were you, I guess, attempting to show with this photograph?
This is during the application of the Blue Star on the driver's side headliner and sun visor area. So there's some chemiluminescence reaction happening here and then along on the visor.
All right, and previously entered into evidence State's Exhibit 31, the sun visor from the Dodge Ram. Is that the sun visor that we've already put into evidence as State's 31?
Yes.
And now we are looking at State's Exhibit 115. What are we looking at here?
This image is depicting, I'm actually in the truck, and this image is depicting the driver's side seatbelt. It's been pulled down to show the chemiluminescence reaction happening on the seatbelt here.
And in State's 115, was that section of the seatbelt removed from the Dodge Ram?
Yes.
And is that the section of seatbelt that's previously been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 32 that I just showed you?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hiller. If you want to go back to the witness stand. Alrighty. Did you return to that Dodge Ram again on January 8th for the purpose of collecting additional evidence in this case?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what was that?
Tire impressions. So to collect known tire standards to send for comparison against the images that I had taken of photo marker A at the crime scene.
All right, and what process do you use in order to take samples from the Dodge Ram?
For this particular case, we did two processes. We collected some ink standards of the tires and then some mat boards that the tires rolled over the mat board and depressed the tread into the boards for the tire examiners to compare.
And would you do those for each tire?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to show you what's been marked for identification. I don't know if it's easier for you to stand up or however you want to do this. But we got state's exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you want to look at those and tell me if you recognize these. If you want to pass them to me after you look at them, that's fine too. Here's one.
I don't remember if that's an inked impression of. I recognize State's Exhibit 1 as a rear passenger ink impression from the Dodge truck. And it's in my handwriting. State's Exhibit 2 as a rear driver ink impression from the Dodge truck. In my handwriting. State's Exhibit 3 as rear passenger known tire impression Dodge truck. Also in my handwriting. State's Exhibit 4 as the front passenger known tire impressions from Dodge truck. In my handwriting. My initials are on all the tape here. State's Exhibit number 5, rear driver known exemplars in my handwriting, and again my initials on the tape. State's Exhibit number 6, front driver tire exemplars from Dodge truck. That was the last one.
All right, so state's exhibits 1 through 6, are these the standards you took of that Dodge Ram truck that we previously just saw photographed?
Yes.
Okay, and so what is inside of this brown envelope?
It's board. It's kind of in between like cardboard and foam, and you can, it will, the weight of the truck will depress the tire tread marks into the board.
This time the state moving evidence is marked by application states 1 through 6. In evidence is 1 through 6.
No objection.
Without objection.
Right here. Thank you, Ms. Hill.
Thank you.
Just briefly, Judge. Maybe you said that the blue star reacts with hemoglobin, or the iron in hemoglobin, right?
Yes.
Okay. And hemoglobin can be present in other substances in the body other than blood. Is that right?
Not to my knowledge.
For example, let me ask it in a more clear way. You can have blood in your vaginal fluid. Is that right?
Yes, you could.
Okay. Not just when you're menstruating, but say you are having sexual intercourse. It could cause you to have blood in your vaginal fluids.
Yes, you could have blood during intercourse.
Okay, and likewise, you can have blood, which contains hemoglobin, and then the iron in that hemoglobin in your saliva too, correct?
If you have a wound that is bleeding, yes.
Or periodontal disease.
There'd have to be blood.
Right.
There'd have to be blood.
Or any type of gum injury.
Yes, any kind of injury.
Now, when you searched the truck on September 24th, 2018, I think you said that was pursuant to a search warrant at the Cactus Avenue residence?
The truck on September 24th?
Correct.
That was the search warrant just for the Dodge Ram at the sheriff's office.
Okay, I'm sorry, the truck was at the sheriff's office?
Correct.
Okay. When you did that on the 24th of September, where had the truck been prior to that search?
At the sheriff's office.
It had remained at the sheriff's office the whole time?
Yes.
Okay, from what date?
The truck was collected August 27th of 2018.
Okay, and remained at the sheriff's office, to your knowledge, until September?
Yes.
No further questions for this
May
witness.
we direct from the state?
No, sir.
May Ms. Heller be released from her subpoena at this time?
Subject to recall.
You may step down subject to recall from the attorneys. And ladies and gentlemen, we've reached